guys.
choosing your worship.
Hey guys.
So we ran into Dion Blackiston now.
Yeah.
At the grocery store. And a lot of times lately, I've been getting my groceries on Sunday night or on Monday night because she's here and I can just take an hour and go to the groceries. Because the weekends have been packed with lab stuff. And we ran into, he was like, I've seen you here a lot lately. I was like, well, Lily, I was like, Jerry, Elvis. He still does that? I said, he's been doing that since I was in high school. He was like,
Yeah.
I was like,
Mr. Jerry, I have your Pearls book.
Okay, we can get it later.
In the car.
Okay. We're going to get started. We're after 7 o'clock. And we're going to leave the door open. We can leave it open. We can leave it open.
Ellie's about to be here.
It's a little fresh. Huh?
She's about to be here.
Who's
She's
back
here
there?
right now.
Oh, okay. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started this evening. Welcome everybody watching us now live. We've been live for a couple of minutes. Y'all didn't even know it. Oh no! So we've just been discussing some things. We've had Latch to Leaders this weekend in Nashville, and of course several people that are watching. We're watching. They're probably from Atlanta. Hello, Allie. Come on in. So we're not going to make you ashamed. We're just, you're. Look, I'm watching you walk in the door right now. So, but we're glad you're joining us on Facebook, YouTube, and on TikTok right now. So, thanks for watching tonight. Let us know where you're watching from, and give us a heads up. We'll try to give a little shout out to you about being with us tonight. Thank you so much again for watching. If you've got your Bibles, which I hope you do here, if you don't have your device, go ahead and Matthew chapter 7. Matthew chapter 7. We're going to start looking at verses 24 from that moment, from that point. Matthew chapter 7, in somebody read for me, please, verses 24 through 27. Matthew 7, 24 through 27. Whoever gets it first.
Everyone then who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. And when the rain fell, then the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall, because it had been founded on the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the wind blew and beat against that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it.
So, okay, when you sit there reading it, how many of you wanted to start going, wise men built his house on rock? So you know you did, all right? So those of you that means most of you have been to at least a vacation Bible school or been in some way with that. So whenever we start looking at faithfulness, give me your definition of faithfulness. Give me what does it mean to be faithful to the Lord? Give me a definition. And the birds are chirping. They really are outside. And so what does it mean to be faithful?
Obey.
Huh?
Obey.
Okay, so you're going to be in obedience. You're going to be in obedience to God. Can you go a little deeper?
I feel like faith is in the Word. Having that faith.
Okay. So having that faith. What's that faith?
trusting that what he says is true.
It's trusting what God has said. It's the obedience realm that brings about faith, which is trusting what God says is true, what the Word says is true. We were looking in Bible class last night at Spring Meadows. We were talking a little bit about this. Jesus came not to judge, but to save. Which he was basically saying, I'm showing you the way how to be saved in this world. I'm leading you out of this. God is going to be, he's talking about God the Father. That's the one that's going to be the final judge. So, you've been on Disney Cruise before, right?
Yes, sir.
You guys have been on Disney Cruise. I've never been on a cruise. And so I guess if my mom worked for Disney, I would probably get to go on a cruise. So, that's how that happened, right?
Kind of.
Sort of. I mean, she planned
it.
She planned it. She's a planner. Maybe I should say if my mom was a planner.
Right.
I would probably do it. So, what was the neatest thing about being on that boat in the middle?
food's really good.
The food is good though, but the eating is the best part.
Okay, so tell me about this. That's great. Let's go down to the boat for a second. Talk about nothing but the boat. What's something that's unique about a great big ship in the middle of? Or did you ever think about it?
I was just thinking about the fun stuff.
You think about the fun stuff. So, you ever thought about what if the motors were to stop? Or when you came into a port, you dropped an anchor. Why did you drop an anchor?
So it didn't drift away.
So it doesn't drift away. So you've got this great big ship, okay, that comes into a port, and they'll throw out ropes and they'll throw out anchors and they'll drop that so the ship does not drift away from the dock. And so in your life, you have anchors and ropes to keep you from drifting away from God. So what happens if you get out in the middle of the ocean in the boat? Have you ever been on a cruise?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We went on one last summer.
Okay. So do you ever think about what would happen if the engines just
I
stopped?
tried not to, because then I would not have a good time.
You were there for the fun.
Yes.
You're there
I didn't
for the
want
fun.
to think about
You-
what
and-
would happen.
So if you really think about it though, and you go to the next level, you put your trust in the people that guide that ship, that lead that ship, in the middle of a great big ocean, in the middle of nowhere. You put the trust in the helmsman drives you. You put the trust in the guys that keeps the engines running to keep you from going forward, or keep you going forward. That's where you put your trust and your faith. Look what he says again in Matthew chapter 7. Jesus uses the whole concept of the wise man and foolish man building a house, okay? Whoever hears these sayings of mine, okay, back up with me for a second. What are those sayings that he's saying? This whole thing in the Sermon on the Mount, okay? He's talked from the Beatitudes. He's talked into the straight way and the wide way. He's talked about knowing people, about how they live their life. You'll know them by their fruits, and then he gets into not everybody that says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven. And then he starts off the very first thing. Whoever hears these sayings of mine, what these previous sayings that I just told you, how to love one another, how to treat one another, and how people should treat you. The people that does them, the faithful, the obedient, those that put your trust in God, they'll be like a man that builds his house on a firm foundation, on the rock. The rains will come down, the winds will blow, it'll be on the house, and guess what? It's not going to fall. Why? For it was founded on a rock. Foundations are important. Would you agree with that? Would you agree with that? So, you guys, where's your foundation going to come from?
The rock.
Okay, it's going to come from the rock. But what is the rock?
God.
Or maybe I should say, who is the rock?
It's Jesus.
It's Jesus. Jesus is even told that he would be the chief cornerstone. Y'all know what I'm talking about when I talk about the cornerstone of a building? You go to the corner, there's always a point built in the building that if you knock that point down, the whole house is going to fall. That's part of construction. Even today, there's a cornerstone in a building that keeps a house up. Jesus is supposed to be. Now here's the question. Who is supposed to teach you Jesus? To be your foundation.
Your parents.
Oh, thank you. So your parents are supposed to do that. You mean Mr. Jerry's not supposed to do that? Ah, okay. You mean your preacher's not supposed to do that? Oh, okay. So I'm glad I have a parent in the room with me tonight. Smile. But you think about it. And here's the thing I can tell you. And so I'm glad Lindsay is here. And for those that are watching, Lindsay is a young parent. She was here. She was here 20 years ago.
As a student.
As a student, But Lindsay was also here by her mom and dad. That's pretty cool. Her dad was extremely influential in some of her summer raising because he went to church camp with her. Her mom was influential, making sure she was at activities at church, especially at church. So props out to mom and dad. And now then, Lily, she's doing the same thing for you and for your sister. You know why? It's not because she just wants to do it. She has to do it. Because right now, mom is still responsible for your soul and make sure you get back to God. It's a big, big responsibility. Same way with the rest of you here. Same way with the rest of you. Parents have an awesome responsibility in your faith and in your growing in your faith. And sometimes I see it where it's not so that way. Where there's not an influence in that. And that's where the church as a whole comes in to help. And you'll meet people that will help lead you and guide you and build your faith. And yes, that will be elders, that will be deacons, that will be preachers, and that might even be a youth minister that will help you build your faith and make your faith. Jesus says, be like to build the foundation. If you're listening to what I've told you to do in these things, your foundation is going to be solid. Now, he tells everyone, verse 26 says, everyone who hears these sayings of mine and does not do them, he'll be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. The rains will descend, the floods will come, the winds will blow, it'll beat on that house, and it's going to fall. And great was the fall of it. You live in a world today that wants to say you can find your own foundation. You can find it in your school. You can find it in your work. You may find it in music. You may find it in sport. You just build your own foundation. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Not a good thing.
Why would you say not a good thing?
To build our own foundation?
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately, like what we want is not good. It needs to be what God wants.
Okay. It has to be built with God and Jesus in the picture. It has to be built that way. You can build a foundation for yourself, but Jesus has to be in the picture. I do this thing quite sometimes where you put in front of you and you focus in on your finger and everything is blurry in the back, and then you focus on the things in the back and your fingers blurry in the front. That's the way Jesus says it has to be sometimes. You know, there's times that you have to focus on schoolwork. Let's say you're the schoolwork. I put the finger out here. I'm focusing on you. The finger's still in the picture. That's Jesus. But I'm having to focus in on the schoolwork right now. But Jesus is still in the picture invisible. Sometimes I focus on Jesus an awful lot, and everything else is behind. That would be the schoolwork. That would be my job. But I'm focused solely on Jesus. But everything is in the picture. That's the way Jesus looks and says. When he says you're like a foolish man, if you're building a house like a foolish man, it's going to be, if you build it on sand, it's not going to be any good. Okay. Beach people that go to the beach, you build sandcastles, right? You go down there and you build a sandcastle. What eventually happens to the sandcastle, Allie?
It's destroyed.
By what?
The water.
The water. It comes in and just wipes it right out. And so I always love to watch littles maybe down on the beach, and they build their big things, and the next day it's gone, and they'll come down there and they're so disappointed. I saw one little kid just like cry. What happened to my sandcastle? My sandcastle, I built my sandcastle last night. Yeah, Mama, did you tear it down? No, the wave came in. How did the wave get this far? We're sitting right here. And she, that's that's what happens. And then they have to explain the tide to them, and they don't understand nothing about the tide coming in and out because they're only 4 years old. Well, I want you to notice something. In this passage, the storm comes in. But the storm hits both houses. The storm hits both houses. But it's just how is it prepared? That's what matters. One built on a solid foundation. It's not gonna rock it. But the other one, not built on a foundation. When you're talking about Satan, you're really building on nothing. You're really building on nothing. 2-3 weeks ago now, we had that little tornado that came over here, knocked out the trees and stuff. Over here in my neighbor's house, they had a shed. And the shed was flipped upside down. I mean, it's one of those little metal sheds. And it was flipped upside down, thrown over a fence or something like that. And it was one of those people that said, I don't know why, it just picked it up. It just picked it up and threw it over. And I said, well, it was an anchor down. Oh, no, we just put it out there. We put it up and put it out there. We didn't think the wind would take it anywhere. Well, it did. Threw it over in somebody else's yard. But because it didn't have a foundation, nor was it put down. Now, if they had took some ties and anchored it down, it would have given it a foundation to stay on there. Might not have been picked up and taken away, but then again, it could have too, because tornadoes are tornadoes. They'll do damage when you're not ready for them. When you don't build on a solid foundation, I will guarantee you your house is going to fall. It will fall in families. It will fall in your friendships. Hey, even when your foundation is weak and you're even within the church, if you don't keep that foundation strong, guys, I'm telling you, Satan will yank it out from underneath you and you'll just drift away. You can't let the storms of life knock you down. And believe you me, there's going to be storms. There's going to be storms that come. So, faithfulness isn't just like one giant moment in your life. It's not, it's the church camp experience where I'm going to go up and I'm going to sing and I'm going to be close to God and yeah, you're going to do that. Faithfulness is something we do every day. Eli, in his speech for Lads to Leaders, quoted, we didn't quote the verse, but quoted the chapter, Colossians 3, and verse 4, which tells us when Christ, who is our life, appears. That's our faithfulness. That's the faithfulness of our life. It's living for Jesus every day. Does it mean we're always going to talk about Jesus every day? Probably not. Probably not. But Jesus is going to be in the picture every day. But I sure would like to change the culture of our world where we talked about Jesus every day. How would you make that happen? How could you make that happen where you would talk about Jesus every day?
Have a garage Bible study.
Well, you could have a garage Bible study. But it don't have to be in a garage. I had a dear friend that started one in Kentucky. And he started in a loft of a building. He called it the loft. And that's where his Bible study still goes on.
We started in a warehouse.
We started in a
We
warehouse.
didn't start here.
Yeah, we started here. And then we went to the warehouse.
We went to the warehouse.
You would see later, we went to the warehouse for a while because it was cold here. We went to a warehouse. The story, y'all don't know this story, but it was so cold here that one of the elders at West 7th, at local government, let us come in this warehouse for about a year. For about a year.
I remember we did it for a long time.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it was.
Yeah, that was why Mike Kessler came up and says, y'all really need to come out here. But it was also something he wanted to do as an elder. I had no intentions of leaving out here, but I said, hey, let's try it and do it. And we had good crews, good crowds come out there. And so, a lot of good stuff. A lot of good things. So you have, but one of the things you remember is you got to be consistent. Okay? Consistency works. There's a reason why we do this every Monday night. So it's consistent. Why do I do 60 seconds on Tuesdays at 5 o'clock? It's consistent. People know this is Monday night at 7. People know it's kind of like going to work. It's kind of church. Whichever church you go to, you know what time they start. West 7 starts at Spring Meadows starts at
9:15.
9:15, 08, something like that.
I've heard.
Huh? It depends. It depends. Have too much fellowshipping going on at the beginning, and people still coming in. But you know what time. There's a consistency there, or maybe an inconsistency. Consistency in your faith-driven life will help you out. Prayer time, Bible study time will help you out. First thing in the morning, I get up before everybody else does in the house. Grab my Bible, I go sit down, and have my quiet time. And my 1 cup of coffee for the day. I really want more than one, but I have one. But, and then I make a plan of my day to pray. Now, my prayer time is a bit more consistent for me. And it can be. Because there are certain points in the day that I've been talking to someone or something has occurred that I need to pray more diligently and take that time. You have to plan your own thing out. Because everybody's going to be different. I mean, you have rugby practice every day, right? Or something. Well, how often do you have rugby practice?
Mondays, Wednesdays, and Sundays.
So you've got 3 days that you know that's going to take place. That's consistent. You have those 3 days that are consistent. So you've got some other days that you can, hey, pay a little more effort here in my spiritual life. You ought to be reading your Bible every day. You ought to be reading. It pops up on your phone, and it gives you the verse of the day. Or if you're on YouVersion, there's some great study guides on YouVersion. Find you one that's comfortable, that you like, that's going to build your faith and make you stronger. Consistency will help. Well, the community around you, second thing, community around you will help. We are a blessed people that are watching right now. We live in a pretty blessed area with Murray County. We will have a camp in 50 days, and
Who's counting?
who's counting? Yeah, we'll have a camp in 50 days that will have 200 campers each week, and those campers will come from a new number of different congregations to be together. That community, I would just say, the church. The people around you. You build your friendships. You find your brothers, your sisters, and some of those will remain your friends for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life. Can I tell you something? Please don't be mad at me. Your high school friends will probably not be your high school friends the rest of your life. That number will be very, very small. Very small. Your church friends, your church peers, some of them will not be. But you'll have more in that line than you do your high school friends. If you choose to be faithful to the church. If you choose not to be faithful to the church, you're not going to have the community around you. And like anything else, when something good happens in your life, the church can rejoice with you. When you need something in your life, the church will be there for you to strengthen you. Not saying anything bad about your high school friends. It's nothing bad. It's just life. Life goes on. And your church friends will be there to rejoice and cry and to help. I'm saying you won't have those high school friends. It's just the numbers are just going to be really small. The community you have around you will make the foundation you have in your life stronger. It will make it stronger. And finally, and I'm going to wrap this thing up, you got to look at the conviction in your life. Are you truly convicted? If I talk in the manner of a prison, all right, we're talking about a prisoner. I say that person is a convict. What am I saying about that individual?
They're locked up.
They are locked up and locked in. They have committed a crime and they have been convicted, made firm of what they did. Therefore, they have been convicted. Are you guilty or are you convicted in Jesus Christ? Or do we just put him on Sunday, Wednesdays, and maybe a Monday night? When I start looking at being convicted, it's the why I follow Jesus. That's the why. When someone comes up and says, why are you so convicted in Jesus Christ? Well, let me tell you why. And it gets back to the point of sharing Jesus with people around you and having the conversation about Jesus. It's about the consistency. I live my life every day for him. And as I live my life for him every day, he's a part of my life. And as I do that, I want to make sure that the people around me are part of the community that I'm part of. See, it's not my community. It's part of the community that Jesus has laid out. So what do I have to be doing in order to make this happen? I have to turn my heart over to him. I have to turn my life over to him. And it's not that hard to do. It's just making the determination within your own heart that this is how I'm going to live my life. I'm going to give my life to the Lord. I want to be obedient to him. I'm going to put my trust in him. I'm going to put my faith in him. It's going to be the life that I live every day. Whether I'm playing rugby or whether I'm riding on a Disney cruise ship. It's the life I'm going to live. It's the whole Galatians 2:20. Being crucified with Christ. You're not living. Christ is living in you. In your life you're living, you live by faith of Jesus for what he did for you. We just come off of Easter. A lot of people talked the resurrection yesterday. Rightfully so. I think we should. I think it's a good thing to talk about. I don't think we need to hold it to one day a week, though, one day a year. I think we need to talk about the resurrection every day. Because of his death, because of his burial, because of his resurrection, it's where you are tonight. And it makes the consistency of where you're at in your life. That's why I'm here. Because I love Jesus. I love him, and I know that he loves me. So, when you start looking at, there's an old song that says, we have an anchor that seals the soul, steadfast and sure while the billows, that's the wind. Jesus has to be the foundation of your life. Did you hear what I said? He has to be. There's no option. If he's not the foundation of your life, you don't have a life. I know that sounds cruel, but it's just true, Lindsay. And we know. And if I can get you guys to get that now, it's going to make it easier for you when you get a little older. Because I think about a number of people that I know in my life that don't have him as their foundation, and they struggle. They struggle in all manners of their life. And more people, if they will keep him as the foundation, build a house on the rock, doesn't matter what storm comes up, it's going to stand up. It's going to stand. Now we could go into the three little pigs and talk about the three houses. That's a whole different story for another time. And so, but the point being, house on the solid foundation of Jesus. We're going to let the people online watch right now. Go thank them for watching us. We're going to sing a song out, and then we will come back and talk a little bit here. Common love for each other, a common gift to the Savior, a common